Hello, America. I'm Lyle Rapacki, and welcome to this segment of Arizona Today. My two guests are really exciting, and I'm really privileged that they've taken time out to be here. One you met a week ago, Matt Newgent. Matt, as you recall, is the founder of the MacArthur Society of West Point. He graduated from the Point in 1996 and served 11 years in our military. And it was really interesting because he served airborne and ranger, and then he went to sapper school, and I did not know what that was. My other guest this morning is Major General Paul Vallely, who also graduated from the Point in 1961. I'm sorry, I thought it was 60, but General Vallely graduated from West Point in 1961. He did not go to sapper school, so I think Matt outranks him on that. Now, I'm not sure about that. I know that will cost me, ladies and gentlemen, but what the heck? It's my show. I get to do these things. No, General Vallely, Major General Vallely, 2 stars for those of you who are not sure, also had over 15 years of experience in the military with special operations, psychological warfare, but also served in Vietnam with 2 combat tours. And I don't think he discusses this. And again, this could be another opportunity for me to be on report. But I think he was injured a good couple of times, and yet he persevered. He soldiered on. He doesn't discuss these things. He is also very significant with the MacArthur Society. And we're going to find out why, again, because both of these gentlemen are fighting the good fight to push back, eliminate the seduction that's been taking place for a number of years by CCP, Marxism, not only in our military academies, but across this nation. We're going to talk about that today. General Vallely is also the founder of Stand Up America US Foundation, and we're going to put that address up. You're going to want to get on his newsletter list. It's phenomenal. And some of what the general discusses in the newsletters, his articles, we're going to discuss today. And most likely, if I can buy them a bagel and a coffee, get both of them to come back, because we're not going to get very far today. And I'm just telling you that right now. You're not supposed to say things like that in shows, but not because of these gentlemen, but because the topics are so incredible, and what they have to share, the information, the insight, is vast. And so I'm really honored that both of them took time out to be here today. And gentlemen, if you're ready, I'll just move along with some questions that actually came in last week.
Before you start is make a special presentation to you, and Matt is going to do that now.
Thank you, General. Dr. Lyle, you've been in the fight for years, well over a decade and beyond, and the dedication to our country, our Constitution, and it's in you, brother, your love for what you call the Point, West Point, and the virtues of duty on our country. General Vallely and I and the whole MacArthur Society appreciate you, your having us on, and your palpable love of West Point. And as a very small token of appreciation, can you guys see this in the camera? We're going to send you a coin from the MacArthur Society of West Point graduates. For those of you who are not familiar in the military, when someone does something worthy of emulation or excellence, they're presented a coin, and it's in a handshake. Okay, I can't shake your hand physically right here, Dr. Lyle, but we'll be sending this to you. It's a MacArthur Society coin as a small token of appreciation and the shared love of the virtues of duty on our country. Thank you, Dr. Lyle.
There you go. It's all yours, Lyle.
Yeah, great. You set me up like that, and I'm emotional, and you want me to carry on. Paul, why don't you just take over for me? Matt did it last week. You guys, I don't know what to say. I discussed it briefly with Matt last week for the first time in many years. I just don't discuss these things. I had an appointment to West Point, and I turned it down. I went to a military academy, a high ranking in California. I think I sent Matt my picture my senior year. I was the battalion adjutant. And we had West Point uniforms. My senior Army instructor was active military, 6th Army, because we were that high ranking. And I graduated in '69, right after TET. And I think, Matt, I sent you a picture of me at a parade in my West Point uniform. I look good, didn't I? I was trying to compete with you and you, General, and I just don't normally discuss it, but the stuff that Matt was talking about how the point duty, honor, and country has been attempted to be gotten rid of, and same with a number of other things. It caught me by surprise, and I was very upset. Thank you, gentlemen. I can we move on? I don't know what to say.
Well, listen, why don't we do this, Lyle? Have Matt maybe update you on the MacArthur Society and our meeting yesterday. And uh, Matt, I could explain it, but I think it would be good if Matt explains what happened because he was part of the session that we had yesterday. And that'll sort of update you, Lyle, and then we can go from there.
Yes, sir. That'd be great. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Yeah, for Lyle, for all of your awesome, wonderful audience, this was not rehearsed. I asked Paul ahead of time because I know your heart, Lyle, Dr. Lyle, and you share the same heart as Paul and me and all the other members of the MacArthur Society of West Point graduates. And this is for you, all your wonderful followers, is that the biggest question that Paul gets and that I get, I'm on the board, I'm the vice president for donor relations, is I love what you're doing at MacArthur Society. Do I have to be a West Point graduate? Understand this, the answer is no, okay? The United States Military Academy at West Point, New York belongs to the American citizens. Now, if you're a member of the Long Gray Line, you're a West Point graduate, you are a guardian of the Long Gray Line. But the concept of duty, honor, country, it was captured by General Douglas MacArthur in his farewell speech, but that supersedes even West Point. Okay, so that said, if you have it in your heart, if you love our troops, if you want America to win its wars, if you want America to be a virtuous country, then you share the heart of everybody affiliated with MacArthur Society, and we invite you to participate. So I didn't mean to throw you off, Dr. Lau, and you had said that you wanted to read some emails, which is wonderful. For those of you who responded, thank you. As you get this information that we shared over the last two episodes, probably a couple of emotions happened. One is shock, and the other is for those of you who are engaged in our society and what's going on, you probably we're grateful that someone thinks like you do, and you know that you're not crazy. Okay, General Vallely here at his foundation, Stand Up America U.S. Foundation, it was my introduction to sanity. I was observing so much going on, and providentially, I found his society, and which is wonderful writings. And General Vallely is the individual who pushed. He was the visionary behind the MacArthur Society. So, Dr. Lyle, this is a special event to have General Vallely on. He's an incredible human being. He's survived death at least a dozen times. I've chatted with him on occasion. I said, when I grow up, I want to be like you. And I thought about it, and I said, maybe not, because you've escaped death at least 12 times. Me, only about 2. But Dr. Lyle, if you would like to read any of those letters, we'd love to hear about them.
Well, I do
Tell
have.
them about what we did yesterday, though.
Okay, well, we had are you talking about the board meeting and changing our?
Yeah, it'd be good to update Lyle on what we came up with, and then we can go into Lyle's.
Okay, so it has been tremendous what we've accomplished. With our previous president, he took us from nothing to now the MacArthur Society is impacting national policy. We talked about some of those things on our previous episode, and General Vallely here, I mean, he was the deputy commander of the Army of the Pacific. So he is used to dealing with very large organizations to the tunes of tens of thousands. Was it 70,000? Paul, I don't know how many people were in that. A lot. Okay. So it's not like managing a McDonald's. Okay. So his, and this also is a lesson, a master class in leadership, quite frankly. His approach, I've heard some of the greatest leaders in business say the same thing. And what he's done is he's assigned people with certain functionality. Okay. For example, you've got a sound guy. You say, hey, you're my sound guy. You're in charge of everything sound. Now that is decentralized. What it allows is your sound guy to exercise his or her natural gifts and exercise autonomy. For you to elevate your organization, you have to push leadership down. If you've ever studied or read Dr. John Maxwell, you've probably heard 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. What is manifesting here is those same principles. And so what we've done as an organization in terms of our structure is we have created an infrastructure that allows us to flourish and grow so that we will have the infrastructure in place to be the long-term guardians of West Point. We're also taking on some other issues, but as we build our infrastructure, we'll add those. We don't want to have what's called mission creep, where your focus is here and it gradually gets too wide and you don't have a focus. But we're still being focused, and we're adding the structure so we can be more effective. Is that what you're talking about, General Vallely?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the ability that I've learned from the generals and colonels from World War II and Korea that taught me. But great leaders, Lyle, delegate, and they know how to delegate duties and responsibilities. So what you end up, and you look at our successful corporations, it's team building. You have teams that build from within and create the strength for that organization. And that's what we're doing with the MacArthur Society now, and what we call phase 3, where we'll be adding on a new board of advisors, a new board of directors. A new newsletter will be coming out later this month. We have General Flynn as our guest speaker on September 30th.
Thrilled about that.
Yeah. And our commanders call, Lyle, and you'll be invited to that. But anyhow, that's just a little introduction of the update on the MacArthur Society. So let's go ahead with whatever you'd like to talk
And Paul, what's the date again that General Flynn is coming on?
September 30th.
September 30th. And folks, that's live, okay? It's by invitation only. It will not be simulcast. You have to sign up, get on the link,
That's correct,
and get there. But you are invited if you're a Dr. Lyle subscriber.
Okay.
It would be great to hear from. And General Flynn, excuse me. Let me do this. You've got me all flustered, both of you. Let me ask you a couple of questions that came from emails. And then I'm going to set a whole bunch of other emails aside, and let's come back and do them in a week or two. You've really, Matt, you and I discussed this after the show. You really touched a heart in a lot of people. It stirred up a lot of emails. And so I'm going to take a couple of them and share them and ask each of you to answer the email from your own perspectives. And after a couple of these, then let me move on with some other questions that actually have come from Stand Up America, U.S. Foundation General, and then also the MacArthur Society, because they appear, in my opinion, to be in juxtaposition to one another. You're fighting the good fight. So let's do that. Let me ask some questions, and then let me move on from emails, and then move on with some issues. Both of you, same questions here from emails. From Martha and Robert in Idaho. Our son is considering attending the United States Military Academy at West Point in New York. You knew that. Based on the show where it talked about the mission statement is being subverted, do you think he should still do that?
Sir, can I get that? And then I'll give a good answer, and General Valley will give a great answer. Is that okay?
I want both of you. Go ahead.
Okay. So thankfully, we have a commander-in-chief now who understands the Constitution and understands who the enemy is. It was not the case under the previous president at all. And that's why there was such a problem with enlistment. I mean, it's the goals of enlistment were going down, down, down because they couldn't recruit people. Because whether you're 17 or 18 or 55, you know what bad leadership is. And young people, they didn't want to fight in Ukraine. That Ukraine is Biden's war, okay? And we believe, God willing, President Trump's going to end it. So we have a new sheriff in town under President Trump, and he is one of the strongest presidents we've had in probably our lifetime, and most positively impactful. So it's a new time now. So that's the first point. The second point is I encourage this individual to be a couple things. One is to be educated and a critical thinker. You have to know what truth is. You're going to be told what to do, and sometimes you will have to salute and execute, but you are a citizen first, a citizen of the United States of America. As a soldier, you will give up some of your rights, but you won't give up your citizenship. Okay, you've heard some of the mistakes of America's past, where soldiers they just salute and execute, and they commit atrocities. It's unfortunately the character of war. General Vallely can speak to that. So not only think uh, critically, but you have to be courageous. Okay, you don't have to be a general, thank goodness, to make good decisions and be courageous. You can be a private first class, and I found this out, believe it or not, after I got out of the military, where I met so many bright people, and it made me reflect on the great kids, if you will, and don't take that offensively, but when you get older, you look at 17, 18, 19, 20 year olds as kids. There's so much brilliance in there. So I encourage you to join the military, pursue your goals and dreams, be courageous. Understand there's a new sheriff in town, and wherever you go, military or otherwise, be a critical thinker, be courageous, and speak up when something is wrong.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Matt. I think it's a great time to apply for the academy and dedicate your life to duty, honor, and country, because we've eliminated the wokeness that permeated the academies under Obama and Biden. And I think now we're focusing on developing leaders for the future, what we call war fighters. We're going to focus more at the academies on developing critical thinkers in strategy and tactics to adapt to the new world of cyber warfare, chemical warfare, and space warfare. We have a lot of added things to what warfare was, which was basically land, sea, and air. But now we've added on all these other threats that could basically end up in attacks on the United States in many different ways, including bio is another thing, though we had that in World War II or World War I with mustard gas, but we have a whole different environment now. And so we need people that are critical thinkers. It's going to be a high-tech war, so people that want to get into the engineering side of things at West Point. Anyhow, West Point was founded by Sylvanus Thayer in 1802, and I think the first class had 11 or 12 cadets in it. And that was formed by the direction of President Washington and John Adams to create the first engineering school in America. A lot of people don't realize that. And when you look at the Corps of Engineers, it has the library that they set up at West Point. So it's been known as an engineering school from the beginning. Of course, then it developed into more military strategy and tactics as it evolved through the Civil War, through the Mexican War, through World War I, World War II, and so on. And then they took a little back step, I think, at the academy. They started hiring some liberal professors from the Ivy League schools in the late 80s. And when I was there, they had all uniform professors, and they taught physics. Frank Borman was my instructor, the astronaut. He was a captain in the Air Force, and he taught what they called fluid mechanics at that time. And then my senior year, they introduced space mechanics, which I took on as an elective. So you can see the progression forward, but it took a downfall and a setback when we started bringing in a lot of liberal professors and focusing too much on the social side of things rather than the engineering and military leadership and tactics. So today, that's all being restored. We're getting rid of CRT, DEI, and all of those things that became woke at the academies because a lot of the generals didn't stand up, and admirals at the Naval Academy. And we took many steps backwards. Now we're restoring all that as they dismantled the duty on our country. Even the Honor Society, Lyle, became what they called aspirational. a cadet does not lie, cheat, or steal. No, it's not aspirational. That's a decision you make to lie, cheat, or steal, wherever you come from, whatever families you come from, ghettos. And what they wanted to do was focus on the fact, well, you had minorities coming in, they lived in impoverished areas, they didn't understand you don't lie, cheat, or steal. And they said, so it's aspirational. And that, what a bunk, we debunked all of that too. So we're working a lot of things to restore those things at West.
Well, let me follow up with that. That's really incredible, your answer. And let me follow up with an email from Paul. He's a retired lieutenant, World War II, living in Texas. And he was very upset when Matt and I were discussing last week how the superintendent of the military camp, West Point, will he be held accountable for neutering duty, honor, and country and the principles of the academy?
I think you should be answer that one, sir.
He is being accountable right now. And I think he's on the list to be replaced, as they've done at the Naval Academy, Coast Guard, Merchant Marine, and so on. General Gillen there is the only remaining past superintendent, but he may be replaced, and he should, because he bought into all this wokeness. He bought into aspirational aspects of how you determine duty, honor, country, lie, cheat, and steal. And so they're being held accountable right now. So we'll have to see what happens, what Pete Hegseth does in the Secretary of the Army in regards to the future leadership of West Point.
I believe Matt, I think you got a copy of this email, Matt, by mistake. I know you and I discussed it, was from a master. Yeah, a master sergeant, 20 years, I think, or 22, wanting to know if he could attend the MacArthur Society Command monthly meeting. And that was neat that you said yes, and you just talked about it now. I've had a couple of people write in, civilians, saying the same thing. Would I be allowed to at least sit in and listen, because I'm really taken by what Mr. Nugent talked about, and there appears to be a new air, AIR, new air breathing to restore duty, honor, and country in our service academies. That includes Annapolis and all that. So I guess the answer is yes. We'll put MacArthur Society back up, the org. I think it's MacArthurSociety.org, I believe, Matt.
That's right.
Yeah. And we put that up, and that's really what caused people to write in, because they saw that and they were glad. They went to the website, then they wrote me as if I had some say. It said, Dr. Lyle, can you please ask Matt if we can participate? So,
absolutely, I'm giving you a double thumbs up.
Well, if the general says it's okay.
It's called the commander's call once a month.
And you guys, your audience is going to love it, because what we at the MacArthur Society are doing, we are the tip of the spear, folks, on many different issues. We've got a talented group of high-ranking individuals, talented individuals, generals. General Vallely is one of them. We have talented civilians who are making contributions in terms of writing papers. We've had several meetings with members of Congress. I've been on a number of those personally, and we are making things happen. So this is a way for you American citizens to see what's happening behind the curtain, if you will. And there will also be a brief, about a 30-minute question and answer session after the 60-minute formal session.
Now, General, this was something that I mentioned to Matt after the show on the phone. That is up here in Prescott, Arizona. Ladies and gentlemen, by now you know where I'm at. I'm north of Phoenix by about an hour, depending on traffic. But in Prescott, Arizona, we have approximately 11,000 retired military up here. And I'm not talking World War I. We're talking even late. In fact, one of them, Matt, is in our congressman's Eli Crane, who served as a SEAL and was deployed, I think, 6 times, 5, I think. And I've known Eli before he became a congressman. Another gentleman is a Ranger, and he and the SEALs go at it all the time, which is better, and Rangers are better than SEALs, is vice and back and forth. And they were impressed that Matt was on as a Ranger Airborne and sapper. And I said, well, you know, General Vallely's coming on. They go, yeah, but he was never a sapper. So Matt outranks him in that regard. And I said,
General Vallely is here to show me I'm not cool.
A sapper doesn't outrank anybody.
It doesn't. Yeah.
It's my show. And I told them, I'll take the chance of being on report with the general. But I said, I'm going to bring this up. And then I'm going to have a new place to go live because they're going to come to my house and I won't be there. You can talk to my wife. But yeah, they were joking and they thought it was so neat to have both of you on and representing the MacArthur Society and our military today, because our military has lost, this is what they said, okay, and it wasn't meant to be argumentative, but our military seems to have, and our nation seems to have lost its way, its direction. And they were really...
Lyle, do you know what a sapper is?
No.
No.
Do I have to give my... They blow up things. Oh, I like that.
That's what sappers do. They blow up things, bridges, buildings. That's what they do.
Okay.
And they're good at it. But it's an engineering.
That would not be something I would join if I was in the military. I'm not allowed around power tools, General, anyway. It's on appeal.
Matt went through that successfully.
Well, anyway, I want you to know that a number of folks were really up here even, not only mentioned, I've got more questions here from emails from across the country, but they were very excited to find out that General Vallely would be on the show. And both of you guys are, and what you're doing, not only just for West Point, but the comment that came up on the show, Matt, you'll remember, is a small committee, and I may use the wrong terms, General, a small committee was going to go see the Secretary of Defense representing Annapolis Air Force and West Point and say, hey, enough of this stuff. Let's go back to our foundations.
Paul, you want to talk about that one?
Well, I mean... we worked on at the Stand Up America US Foundation. We gave Trump a whole new plan for the Defense Department. And that basically I had recommended to Trump that he change the name of the Defense Department to the Department of the Armed Forces of America. Lately, they've gone towards, they want to change it back to the Department of War. I advocated we ought to do away with the Joint Chiefs of Staff. We don't need them. I'd rather put a 5-star admiral or general in charge and have his own staff and command all the forces of America. So I think there's a continued restructuring that Pete Hegseth is looking at now. We're getting rid of a lot of different things. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. A real quick answer.
Okay?
You're fine. How about a real quick answer from both of you on the same question, and then let me move from the emails, and we'll come back and do emails. I've got a lot of emails, Matt, as I told you on the phone, that came in. But let me do one more email question for both of you, and then let me move on to a couple of areas that I know, General Vallely, you've written on in your articles and your newsletters. And Matt, you and I actually talked about. So one more question, and that is... from George in New Jersey. I was born in Jersey, General, New Brunswick, New Jersey. So George in New Jersey wants to know, in your opinions, both of your opinions, do you believe our military will get it right? That's the quote.
So I went to West Point Prep School in Jersey because I was enlisted before that. So, hey, George from Jersey, what exit, right? On the turnpike. So thanks for thanks for writing in. And here, I'm going to answer this with a harsh truth. Okay. No military is indefatigable, is undefeatable. Okay. No military can't not be beat, meaning it is possible for the United States to be defeated. Now, that is anathema to some people. How dare you say that? Listen, whenever you see a friend lose his life, that ought to tell you something, okay? And if we had our asses handed to us at our service academies because our enemy understands us. The United States, you can't beat us necessarily in in a head-on conventional kinetic warfare scenario. And our enemies know that. In fact, the CCP knows our concept of warfare is primarily through kinetic, bullets, bombs, bayonet. In fact, they wrote a book about it and published it called Unrestricted Warfare, where they said basically three things. The United States, it's difficult to beat the United States with kinetic warfare, but their idea of warfare is very kinetic. It's very restricted. Okay? So let's fight them through unrestricted warfare. And what we've seen at the service academies is, in many ways, it was overtaken, it was captured. However, um, nothing is static in life. Nothing stays still forever, George. Nothing. Now, as long as there is one person alive in the fight, okay, and may it be you or me, but somebody, as long as you're in the fight, it's never over. So, leaders and heroes like General Vallely here, Dr. Lyle here, and the people that support him, and you there, when you're in the fight, you're engaging. As long as you're in the fight, there is hope. Also, and not to be overly spiritual with you, but there is good and there is evil. Okay, none of us is perfect and everything, but listen, I'm here to fight, win or lose. Okay, so the right question is not necessarily, are we going to win or lose? The question is, are you in the fight? And we are in the fight. So that said, the pendulum is swinging towards duty on our country, a country with strong borders, as we all know, and we are here to win. Paul?
Yeah. When you look back, Lyle, we haven't won a war since World War II. Now, why is that? Even at the later stages, I went to Vietnam in 1965. Well, Lyndon B. Johnson and McNamara were controlling the flight missions of what targets we should take out in Vietnam. And so it started getting very politicized. And then basically we pulled out. And I remember sitting with the general I was the aide to as commander of all the field forces in September 1965. And I was a captain running the villa where we lived on the coast in the Trang. And my boss says, this was September night. He says, what the hell are we doing here? These people are not a threat to the United States. But Lyndon Johnson created this political war. And then you had George Bush go into Iraq in the Middle East. They were never a threat to us. And we lit fires throughout the Middle East. And so we've had a lack of leadership, a lot of the neocons that keep pressing all of these wars. And that's one of the things at West Point we want to establish. Yeah, we want to protect America, but if they're not a threat to America, let's not get involved in unnecessary wars where we lose thousands. We lost 58,000 plus in Vietnam for what? And then we pull out. And then in Afghanistan, 20 years. We defeated the Taliban in 30 days in October, November of 2001 with Special Forces and CIA and B-52s. We should have turned over Afghanistan to General Dostrom then and said, okay, it's your war. You take your country back. We're leaving, but we'll be here to help you. We stay there for 20 years and then we pull out. So this whole lack of leadership is what we're focusing on and pressuring, I guess, the academy as we have, and they are changing now with new leadership to become war fighters. But we don't need unnecessary wars. We got to be very prudent, and that's what President Trump is. He's very prudent about that. So anyhow, this is a learning process, but this is something your listeners need to hear of what's happening now and what should happen.
Those same lines, General and Matthew, it does appear, and I think many people would agree with this, I don't think it's really controversial, that the Trump administration President Trump himself personally is dedicated to restoring the historical value of our service academies, but of our military, but not to have our military used in wasteful means like you just described, General. And in doing so, he has ordered, from my understanding, 9 Army installations to be renamed to their original name to do away with this wokeness. He's also rehung the portrait of General Robert E. Lee at the Point. And General E. Lee was first hung in 1952 at West Point as a memorial to the Lost Cause Civil War. And then it was taken down in this whole woke campaign. I don't know if I like that word, woke wave, that we've been talking about for the last week or so. But now the president, I'm sure through the Secretary of Defense, reordered the hanging of it, and then also 9 military installations go back to their original names instead of doing away with it under woke lemmings. These are all examples of what you both are talking about. Would that be a yes? In other words, reestablishing our military and duty, honor, and country, our integrity as a military, and not getting into wasteful wars, but getting in to win a war or a battle and then getting out.
Yeah, and that's one of our initiatives, is to bring back the instructors that are military and in uniform. I mean, you could have a few civilians doing certain things, but certainly to be more established, if you take our military leaders when they're lieutenants, captains, and majors, and they get assigned back to West Point to teach physics or whatever. But we're really pushing to get all the instructors, for the most part, to be uniformed instructors. So that's another initiative we have. And then to also restore the Reconciliation Plaza, which the class of 1961 raised over $1 million to put in, which was to reconcile the Civil War generals and the Union generals, put them all back together again in reconciliation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they closed that down under the wokeness, and took down statues and paintings. One of the paintings you described. So these are all building back these traditions of West Point that this wokeness had destroyed for no good reason other than
Doing away with
ideology.
all,
And that's what when he talked about unrestricted warfare, that's
Yep.
what the CCP wanted to do, weaken us from within. And that's exactly what happened. Now we have to restore that.
Yeah. So if segueing from what General Vallely said, here's an important word for all your listeners to know and understand and kind of wrap your head around. It's called deconstruction. Deconstruction. What you can't do with bullets, bombs, and bayonets, you do with non-kinetic warfare, in this case, ideology, like General Vallely said. The concept of deconstruction is to separate a country from its history, especially its good history. Good meaning there's value in it, because you can do something bad in your history, but there's value in it, and it's a form of wisdom. When you remove a society from its history, you remove those important lessons. And I'll paraphrase what Congressman Wesley Hunt, who's a West Point grad, 2004. He and his 2 siblings graduated from West Point. He's a man of color. He's black. He's hilarious. We actually met with him, and he loves what the MacArthur Society is doing. And his wife is white, so their children are biracial. And he was on a talk show recently. I don't recall the name, but he was amazing. And he said one day, and this is beautiful, Congressman Hunt, he says he wants to take his grandkids to the halls of West Point and say, see, General Lee there, those barracks, I lived in those barracks.
Mhm.
Congressman Hunt, black man, okay, lived in General Lee barracks. In what other country can you live in the barracks named after a former slave owner and achieve his greatness as Congressman Wesley Hunt has? Those are lessons, are valuable lessons, and you take those away for whatever reason, you lose those. Okay, so it's important to have these lessons to tell us and inform us mistakes we've made, what we did to overcome them, and that reconciliation. Okay. And that many episodes are worth that concept alone, reconciliation, because what what President Lincoln said after the North won the Civil War, he said this to every member of the Southern Army: take your gun, take your horse, and go home. He said, I'll say it again, take your gun, take your horse, and go home. No hangings, no, assassination lines. Okay. It was about unification. Okay. That's the whole idea, the United States of America. And by learning from our past, you know, lest it's erased, okay, we will lose those lessons. And that's why the greatest lessons, the greatest concept are in stone. So they will survive decades, years, and generations. So remembering those mistakes are going to make us better and will make this country last for generations to come. And that's why it's important.
Well, let me end this segment of our conversation and ask both of you, put you on the spot. Can we come back and pick up and follow through with not only more emails, because I have a bunch, but also some more aspects of the MacArthur Society at West Point and the 42 points on how to take over a country and subvert it into a communist nation like CCP is attempting to do. If we can pick up on that in future shows, and I'll schedule it with you both so you have some time. But I think these are really, I don't know if I'm going to use the word right, these are really pregnant ideas. It really has touched the hearts of a lot of people. Matt, when we did the show, like I said, the emails that came in, people were very upset. Happy that somebody's talking about this. And then up here, General, when I talked to a ranger and to a SEAL and a couple of others about you coming on, they were really blown away by that because they said you, along with the MacArthur Society and the U.S. Foundation, are fighting the good fight. And they're not seeing very many leaders do that. So I know we're onto something. I know we've touched the hearts of some folks. And I'd like to have some more time to ask some very pointed questions of y'all and have you have the opportunity and the platform to answer if that's okay with you.
Hey, Dr. Lyle, the Sapper tab is not as cool as you think.
But vital.
You know, that's my co-host, Paul. Did you notice that? My co-host, Matthew.
There you go.
Yeah,
all right. Thank you, Lyle. It's always a pleasure to be on your show, and we'll look forward to more episodes.
Well, no, General, thank you, and Matt, thank you. I don't have the words right now. That's very unusual for me, as people will tell you. But I'm very blown away by your presentation and your kindness, your generosity. I will write you when I have some time to think of some words, not words that are fatuous and all that and empty, but I'm really touched. And you're going to make me cry again on my show here. Thank you so much, both of you gentlemen. I don't have mere words right now to even express my appreciation and my humility at what you presented to me. And thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope I can find the right words here. Both of you gentlemen, we will put up various points of contact for you, like the MacArthur Society and the U.S. Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard both of these gentlemen. You can join on the command call, and we've got the MacArthur Society going up, and then we're going to put General Vallely's foundation up. This newsletter is profound. So,
and we both need support. We need donations to continue doing great things. So we don't charge, to join, be a supporter of either the foundation or the MacArthur Society. But certainly, if you could spare a donation to help us out, we'll do good things, and we'll represent America well. And we will focus on the things that make us a great country, a great army, great armed forces and so on. So thank you, Lyle, again, and we appreciate your invitation.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you both. Ladies and gentlemen, General Paul Vallely and Matt Nugent have been my guests, and they're going to come back because I'm going to knock on their windows until they say go away, and we'll come back. Okay, so late at night when they're trying to sleep, they'll finally say, "Okay, we'll come back. Just go away." But I want to see them both again. I know you do because of the emails that came in when Matt and I were talking, and we've got plenty more to discuss with you, General Vallely. So thank you so much, both of you gentlemen. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your dedication to America and to the foundational principles of America, as well as to the West Point. On behalf of General Paul Vallely and Matt Nugent, I'm Rapacki, and that's how I see things from Arizona today.